Hi, welcome to this Ready Translations webcast designed for medical device manufacturers who are looking at how to build a strategy for entry into the Chinese market. In this webcast, we'll take a look at the current market for medical devices in China, the trends and factors which are affecting the market, health infrastructure, the regulatory landscape, localization, branding, as well as some other pointers you may want to consider in order to make a successful launch. Recent estimates by the radiology and medical imaging site ReadyTranslations.com suggest that the Chinese medical devices market has a value of around $50 billion, with compound annual growth of greater than 22% between 2010 and 2015. While growth is slowing, medical device manufacturers worldwide have naturally been eyeing China for their own strategic growth. Now, it may sound prosaic to say so, but the numbers relating to China are necessarily vast. Nearly 1.4 billion people live in China. While its population continues to grow, so does life expectancy. More than 10% of its population are now over 65. Meanwhile, according to the trading economics platform, wages have more than doubled in the past decade, and unemployment remains a stable 4%. With increasing wealth and an aging population, lifestyle diseases more associated with the Western world, as well as other chronic conditions such as arthritis, diabetes, cancers and heart disease, are increasingly being diagnosed and treated. According to the World Health Organization, 27% of the world's cancer deaths come from China, while 1 in 3 diabetes sufferers is Chinese. They also estimate that cardiovascular events will increase 50% by 2030. While China has an estimated 1 million healthcare institutions in total, the largest consumers of medical devices are hospitals and outpatient care facilities. The Research in China website suggests that there are now over 28,000 hospitals in China, which are divided across 3 different classes. According to the US International Commission, Tier 1 facilities typically serve smaller towns and rural areas and tend to source medical devices from low-cost local suppliers. Tier 2 hospitals operate in cities or serve larger districts. With the Chinese government's plans to improve care from these facilities through infrastructure investment and physician training, they'll be increasing their medical device spend, particularly it seems for medical imaging devices. But the most advanced facilities are the nearly 2,000 Tier 3 hospitals, who offer the most cutting-edge facilities and comprehensive care, and who are most inclined to buy imported medical devices. According to the EU SME Centre, the public image of a hospital is enhanced when it owns imported medical devices, and traditionally doctors have believed that foreign-branded medical devices are more user-friendly, reliable, and better overall than domestic brands. Aunt Minnie, meanwhile, notes that China still lacks healthcare professionals, both physicians and nurses, while China's 14,000 domestic medical device manufacturers are still playing catch-up with the Western manufacturers, despite the Chinese Ministry of Science and Technology's increasing support for the development of more innovative technologies. The Chinese Chamber of Commerce for import and export of medicines and health products had been concerned that China was too dependent on imported medical devices. Meanwhile, the Made in China 2025 strategy is to provide long-term stimulus across all manufacturing sectors, but specifically targets cooperation between local and foreign healthcare companies in order to boost the domestic sector. Because of this significant ongoing investment, it should be expected that doctors' perception that foreign brands offer better care options may gradually change as Chinese manufacturers begin to compete with their own innovations. It's worth noting that while brands like Siemens, Philips and G Healthcare will be well known to Chinese hospitals, they may have little awareness of many other Western medical device brands. This means that new entrants to the Chinese market need to budget for both time and spend towards marketing. Depending on the market that you're targeting, marketing will need to focus on building awareness with either physicians for larger medical device acquisitions or end users for the commercial market. Either way, English marketing communication will simply not be sufficient, meaning that you will need to localize marketing materials, software, training materials, and user documentation. China, broadly speaking, is a digitally savvy society to a similar extent to the West. The most popular social networks and search engines are different though, and use different algorithms from Google, Facebook and Bing. but investing in understanding them will reap rewards. Speak to Ready Translations. We'd be very happy to help with your translation needs. So, the stage is set. China is likely to experience an ongoing demand for high-end medical device technology. However, recent years have seen some radical changes in the regulations on medical devices, particularly those outlined in the 2014 document, Measures for the Administration of Medical Device Registration. Medical devices need to pass the Chinese State Food and Drug Administration, known as CFDA, certification before a company is registered. The CFDA has classified medical devices into 3 classes, determined by the potential risk to the user. Depending on how a device is classified, different procedures and requirements will apply in order to obtain the relevant licenses. This process is now quite quick for Class 1 devices, which can now go through a simplified filing procedure with a municipal regulator, but will take up to 3 years, including clinical trials for Class 3 devices, even where a product has previously been sold in the Chinese market. What's more, according to the US International Trade Commission, China has been slow to adopt international standards. What this means in practice is that manufacturers wanting to sell a device that is compatible with the latest version of an international standard may find that an earlier version of the standard is still used in China, and therefore the product no longer complies. While importers of Class 2 and 3 devices are forced to have certification issued by the national CFDA organization, local manufacturers can do so at municipal or provincial level if that suits their purposes. Uyghur law explains that applications for registration must be carried out by a Chinese legal entity, meaning that foreign manufacturers must appoint a local agent. These agents perform a vital role in the registration process. They're the interface between manufacturers and the Chinese authorities, but they can also be responsible for the collection of any adverse information from device usage as well as product recalls. It's important to note that when submitting your application dossier, all documents must be in simplified Chinese, including any free sales certificates, agent authorization letters, testing reports, clinical evaluations where applicable, and other technical documents. Speak to Ready Translations for help with this if you need it. As we've just discussed, local representation is essential. There are 3 required local agents. A registration agent is the company that registers your product. The after-sales agent provides technical service and support. The legal agent reports on any adverse events related to the device and handles recalls and regulatory issues. The EU SME Centre notes that medical device manufacturers will also need local distributors with strong established ties to your targeted hospitals, likely Tier 2 and Tier 3 hospitals, industry connections and market insiders at the CFDA. Pacific Bridge Medical highlights that there are more than 12,000 medical device distributors in China, and that a good distributor in one province may not have contacts or a presence in other regions. It's therefore quite normal for manufacturers to partner with multiple distributors in order to maximize sales territories. Exhaustive due diligence is critical to understanding the legal system and cultural differences when doing business with China. But also investigation and background research on potential partners is vital to ensuring the professional ability and integrity of the partners you choose to represent you. You will need to verify their administrative and legal standing, their financial and operational status, and probably visit their premises too. The China Law blog lists 10 key questions which will help you to choose the right distribution partners. Now these are summarized on screen now. In addition to this list, you'll need to define the contractual agreement. Will the contract be a franchise agreement? Will a distributor be granted exclusivity for either territories or product ranges? Who's going to be responsible for sales and marketing? How will your IP be protected? And what happens if the relationship ends? ReadyTranslations.com recommends that you should also call or visit references of Western companies that have worked with potential partners, and even build a network of other Chinese medical technology contacts will be able to supply you with additional inside information on potential partners. Of course, once you've established partnerships, you should maintain regular contact with them to address problems as well as identify new opportunities quickly. Now, according to the EU SME Centre, hospitals take the largest share of medical device sales channels, although online medical shops are also increasingly popular for low-value and home-use devices such as wearables. Hospitals tend to favour open bidding for large medical device acquisition, although centralised online procurement processes are quite common. Within hospitals, department heads submit purchase plans to hospital leaders for approval based on the needs of the department. Larger acquisitions are normally budgeted and submitted for approval at year end. Once approval is obtained, many larger hospitals will pass purchasing responsibility to a procurement team who conduct a bidding process within the hospital or occasionally through a public bidding process. So to summarise, the Chinese market continues to grow and offer opportunity to international medical device manufacturers, but local competition will increasingly become a feature. Careful local partner selection is vital. China and the Chinese market is vast, so you need to select your targets carefully. You should get to know China, Chinese culture and your partners for a successful launch. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to get to know us a little better, why not reach out to us at www.ReadyTranslations.com.